In 2015, I tried to buy offsets for Segment. And
maybe explain offsets, what that means.
Yeah, carbon offsets. So this is like, I emit by buying electricity, and I want to make sure that that has no net impact in terms of CO2 emitted. So I buy an offset that theoretically removes some CO2 from the atmosphere. Now, it turns out in practice, basically all offsets are garbage. And so in 2015 and 16, that's what I learned. And so we went and bought a bunch of offsets, and then I was like, what the heck happened here? And then it turned out like, oh, geez, like nothing. Maybe it had good ecosystem effects. It was like protected forest in Brazil and Indonesia, whatever. Great. Proud of those ecosystem impacts, but like carbon impact, not so clear.
And you're doing this, like the concept of an offset, you're doing this to be net neutral, that your footprint that you're making by doing whatever it is you're doing as a business is neutral to the atmosphere. And you're doing this as a good corporate steward, someone that believes that not just profit. It's not purely financially motivated for most companies.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think you can make arguments around employer branding and other things if you want, but I also think it's just like the right thing to do.
Yes. And so you start going down this path, 2015, 16. Hey, Segment, you probably don't have as big of a carbon footprint as a industrial manufacturer, but you still are flying salespeople around the country. You still are powering electricity, all that stuff. And so how do we offset this in some way? And so you effectively bought some rainforest and protected that area.
Yeah, and the question is like, okay, if you take oil out of the ground and you burn it and you put it in the atmosphere for the next 500,000 years, right? That CO2 is not coming out, so it's out there now. And then you protect a tree for 40 years. Have you really undone what you just did by burning it? No, the answer is no. So,
and by the way, in 2016, are there companies that you're able to go through to do this? Like, who are you interfacing with?
There are. It turns out, in retrospect, when you go back and like Berkeley Carbon Trading Group has done an analysis as well now, a formal like academic analysis of what's the quality of those. Like 95 to 99% are just worthless from a carbon impact perspective. And so that was the feeling that I got when I went and inspected these things more closely, but it's now backed up by the literature as well. And so basically I was like, uh-oh, there's no good product here. This is a problem. So I started as a buyer. And then in 2016, I was like, this will get solved when Clinton is elected. That's naive on like 6 different levels, but we know how that election went. And so in 2017, I was like, well, I wonder if there's a profitable way to do this. So,
and by the way, 2016, it would be solved because the government would, like, what did you think was actually going to happen from the government?
They would regulate like auditing and quality that would ensure that these things
wasn't just going to be bullshit on the back end.
Yeah, exactly. Again, naive on like a lot of different levels. Technically, politically, etc. But in 2017, then I spent every Saturday with some friends trying to figure out if there was a profitable pathway to sequester carbon and ideally drive industrial decarbonization, because now I was starting to learn that electrifying car transport looks like it's on a pretty good path. Electrifying the grid looks like it's on a pretty good path, at least technologically. Like huge amounts of deployment yet to come, but like largely we kind of see what the solution is going to look like. Industrial decarbonization, we have no idea. Like there are a half dozen at best companies making a legitimate shot on goal for decarbonizing steel production. It's 8% of global emissions. If we don't figure it out, like we have to figure it out.
Your Tesla is not going to matter if we can't figure out all this other
stuff. And there has only ever been 100 tons of fossil-free steel delivered ever. It just has not been. It's not a solved problem.
What percentage? I mean,
out of 3 billion tons per year, we have one company delivered 100 tons last year. There will be 0 deliveries this year.
Yeah.
0 deliveries next year. There are forecasted to be deliveries, I believe, starting in 2026.
Got it. So drop in the bucket.
Yeah, nothing.